too small, I got big
Hey everybody, welcome back to Pun Fun, where we have fun with the puns. My name is Ryan, and we're going to check out episode 2 of the Marvel series, Miss Marvel. If you haven't yet seen episode 2 of the Marvel series, Miss Marvel, please be sure to do so, as there are major spoiler alerts ahead, and we're just going to get into it. So, first and foremost, if it's your first time on the channel, we definitely suggest that you hit that subscribe button. This way you stay on top of all of our, comic book breakdowns and comic book artists on our show at all times. This episode is very Degrassi, very, rom-com, having both teens kind of fall in love, but in the same sense, they're like, oh, maybe they're cousins. Hey, they might actually be cousins, so hopefully they don't go down that line unless, they've really explored and investigated to whom they belong. Anyways, that all being said, we're going to go into, there's a lot of signs that point towards the Armor Wars, and we're going to indicate what we're talking about, further down. We're also going to talk about Kamran, so what powers he may exude, who is he exactly in the MCU, via the comic books anyways, what is he, is he pose a threat, is he a friend or an ally to Miss Marvel, and then some of the Easter eggs and some of the development we've had within the episode itself. Let's get into it. First of all, so Miss Marvel talks about her potentially being an Asgardian, which could potentially be true. I mean, right now, you have, well, I mean, not her per se, but it may be something down the line, having Asgardians now on Earth, maybe, mingling with a few humans on Earth. I mean, maybe there's any harmony for Asgardians, I don't know. Marvel, you can definitely market that'd be cool. But yeah, I mean, down the line you will have the mix of both, and having demigods running about and everywhere, which I think is pretty cool too. So we know that she's not Asgardian, as this is a more recent thing to happen. She does question if she may be affected by anything that Ant-Man may have produced, or by the Pym particles. I know you and I both know that is not the case. It is something that is within her, because that's what Bruno was able to check out, that it's not really the bracelet that's doing or causing the effect. It's something that was in her to begin with, and the bracelet is really just a catalyst to exude whichever powers and platforms that she's able to. Anyways, speaking of which, we do get this superhero montage, as we usually do, like up and a web, up and away web. That's quite a tongue twister. But yeah, this is something that we've seen, I guess all of our heroes have had, where they test out their powers and try to master it, if you will, before, having to utilize it and, be the hero they are. What's very interesting about Miss Marvel is that even though she's had her time to practice quite a bit, we see her, sliding, doing the Frozone type moves. So what's interesting is that she doesn't quite, get the hang of it as a get-go. For example, Iron Man, he tries it. Of course, he smashes himself against the walls, damages a lot of cars and so on. But when it was, time was needed, everything was calibrated, and boom, he was able to do his thing. Same with Spider-Man. Spider-Man, yes, he did his web, hit a wall, and then at some point when he was really, needed a call to action, he was already able to kind of get a grip on it. Here, she's kind of really learning how to use the power. There's a lot more, trial and error. So you want to make sure that before you, strike that superhero pose, that your person in distress is basically safely on the ground. And this way you can utilize your power and, yeah, kind of simulate the responsibilities that come along with it, right? So wink, wink. Now, speaking of her powers, we do see her create this giant fist, and it, one of her trademark moves when she embiggens. However, they, she's not able to hold the mass, the new mass. So I guess that's something she'll have to learn as well, or be able to, Hulk out a bit to kind of, figure how to grow more than just that to support certain, enlarged members. Kind of like how she did when she caught her friend. Everything enlarged, her whole arm did, and not just the fist. So I guess that's something she'll have to practice and learn to use. Now, we're going to get to a scene where she runs into the bathroom and her nose is glowing, kind of like Rudolph. However, I know some people were saying maybe it's like a Pinocchio thing where she lied about a certain thing. It will glow, and I was like, maybe. Or maybe it's kind of like, so depending on what generation you're in, if you've seen the 66 Batman, there was a kind of like an emergency phone where there was like a red light that glowed. And if not, if you're more down the line, maybe you guys are familiar with the Powerpuff Girls with that same concept of the phone with the red buzzer, nose when there's danger. So maybe that was like an indicator there's danger at somewhere else or somewhere that needed help. This is something that we've seen with another character. So actually, Kamran has powers where he can glow. Well, he turns into this glowing being, because him himself is also an inhuman, so we haven't categorized it yet. And in this case, he got actually a double shot, so he became a new human. And we'll get more into details about him and how does he, again, tie into all of this. So right after saving Mr. Clout on the edge, maybe trying to do some parkour, we do know that he's trying to steal also shoes from the mosque. So, I mean, hey, I guess karma was definitely served that day. Now, what happened is that you had the drones that were set off by damage control. And damage control right now, we're getting a bit more, more clarity on who they are and what's happening. So they are utilizing Tony's tech in order to, carry out their own missions and stuff. I mean, this was something that S.H.I.E.L.D. was trying to do in terms of they were trying to duplicate stuff and make their own. In this case, damage control is just straight up taking it, putting a new coat of paint and kind of reprogramming what's going on. Now, this is a definite clear nod to the Armor Wars. That series basically was the Tony's technology within the suits were now, like the blueprints and everything was basically scattered and provided to everyone. And I mean everyone. So good or bad, they had the blueprints. And Tony realizes, oh, well, this cannot happen. There's going to be grave consequences. So again, the scene where he's like, kissing everybody and saying, no, you cannot have my suit for the military because I know what you guys are going to do to it. And that's exactly what happened in, the Iron Man 2 and 3. And in this case, there's going to be other characters that are going to try to utilize that technology, create their own suits or even mecha suits and even crazier, gizmos and gadgets, and I guess more drones to, higher extents. Even maybe Smith. Maybe that'd be a cool way to, bring along Kingpin's right hand, which is Smith as well, or Smite, not Smith, Smite. But yeah, that would be a cool way to bring him in. However, the Armor Wars, it really is just a bunch of villains that I guess War Machine is gonna have to go after and try to recollect all of Tony's tech. Maybe he might ultimately be the one that takes down take down damage control as well, who may actually be the arc villain for that series. So definitely to keep an eye on. If you haven't read the Armor Wars, you can definitely check it out. In your local comic book stores, there's TPBs that are available with actually the whole series and the whole run, so it'd be easy to find. If not, there's also the animated series that I believe is still available on Disney Plus. If anything, you can definitely check it out. And yeah, we're not a sponsor in any way, but definitely cool to know that you can always locate it all there. If not, you can also check out your local comic book store for the actual comic books. Now, we're going to talk about Kamran, because Kamran, from the get-go, he made himself, his presence was clear, and it was kind of like, oh, he's her love interest. And I love how the show actually portrayed it very similarly. So I'm going to do a little bit of comparison here for you to the comic books. So it was definitely a fun nod and homages. So Kamran's powers are very similar to the ones that we've seen with Ms. Marvel. So he's able to basically glow. What happens is he actually starts glowing, and he's not able to convert back, or change back rather. And he's able to shoot, sparks of light or shock people, if you will. And he's able to transmit that energy towards an inanimate object. Like, for example, this Che rapper card that we had. Basically have it glow and then fling it and have it explode. Kind of like Gambit, but it's not just, kind of like Gambit. I guess it would be the same kind of mutation. It's just that one was due to the X gene, and Kamran was basically a dormant gene that he had inside, kind of like the X gene, if you will. But the Terrigen gas is what basically, catalyzed his mutation and basically was able to have these powers. So at the very end, we do see Miss Marvel getting into the car and very trusting towards Kamran. Now, these roles are actually inverted. So in the comics, it's actually she gets into the car. Kamran actually reveals that he is actually a villain who works for a mobster, and his name is part of the Lineage. So Lineage is a group that basically throughout generations is able to understand and accumulate knowledge, throughout time, and basically stay ahead of the game. Now they recruit people and people of power. So in this case, the new humans like Kamran himself. So the mother that we see in the back seat may not actually be his biological mother. It may actually be, because his biological mother, by the way, his name is Bushra. And in this case, the lady in the back, I saw in the credits, was Najma, who isn't someone I'm familiar with within the comic books themselves, so it might actually be a new character they created within the MCU, so which is very cool. And again, there's a lot of swapping. We've seen also like throughout Moon Knight, new characters with new powers, like the Red Scarab being completely changed and reutilized for Layla. So I can definitely see Najma being the head honcho of this new cult or following. Maybe we're not going to get our cockatoo, and in terms of this bird that mixed in with Edison. Maybe down the line we'll have another nod to it. But for now, I think where we're heading is that Kamran, seeing that Miss Marvel has kind of his powers, is going to be like his backstory with Red Dagger kind of mixed and intertwined into one character. So they're going to mishmash that all together. Also, his mother being the mobster, and then Miss Marvel now being unveiled. She may say, hey, the cuffs, because she saw her basically through the, going back into that other world. What may happen is that the mist, instead of being, shot out by Black Bolt, it may actually be utilized via that weapon that we see, or the bracelet, because the Kree technology is actually, we're able to change the mists into their own tech and able to transform in and out with their devices. So we do know that Miss Marvel is very curious and wants to understand what exactly the bracelet is about. So Najma may actually tempt her or give her a false understanding of what that bracelet is and who they are, and give false pretense to who the organization is. So for all we know, Miss Marvel may be helping the villains until she kind of realizes on her own that, hey, this is not the path I want to go down. And that might also be why her mother, so Miss Marvel's mother, said, so her great-grand, so Aisha, may have betrayed her people. She could have also have been the head of this lineage group from ever since, and then now it's trickled down to Najma. So she has, again, an understanding of the bracelet because it's passed down throughout generations, and this would also tie in all this together. So that is my speculations. Again, all this could really just be speculations this far. There's a lot of mixture and reconstructing of a lot of the content that we see throughout the books. Hopefully we're on the right path. Hopefully I've helped you understand a bit more of what's going on and where we're heading. If you have any more insight, or if you'd like more insight, definitely put it in the comments below. I'd be more than happy. And of course, we always answer to our fans down in the comments below. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this episode, I would definitely suggest you hit that like button. If you want to stay on top of all of our comic book breakdowns or see some of our comic book creators, like for example, our next episode, we will have Daniel Brody from the Morgan's Organs Kickstarter campaign that's coming up. So you definitely want to check that out and understand what this comic book is all about. It's actually really cool, especially if you're into the Inside Out Pixar movie, but like made for adults / Osmosis Jones / very like Rick and Morty vibe, because it has a lot of like pop culture references. Anyways, you'll definitely want to check that out when it comes out later this week. So we're actually going to give you guys 2 videos this week, which I think is going to be very cool. And we're actually going to see if we can progress and give you guys more content as we go along. But for now, we're really going to stick to the weekly basis. And if we get to 2 a week, or maybe we'll see how that works. But yeah, we're definitely in it to give you guys more and more and more. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. So without further ado, take it easy. Peace.